This is Kim and Shannon.
Are you newly engaged and don't know where to start?
Have you been planning for a while and are ready to elope?
Don't stress, we've got your back.
We are From Ring to Veil,
Your wedding planning heroes. Destination Weddings, A Bride's Experience, episode number 205.
Pause and subscribe to the show. Wherever you are listening to us, subscribe right there in that little podcasting app.
Have you heard about our Facebook group? The From Ring to Veil wedding planning community is a place for you to go to ask all kinds of wonderful questions and get great advice about your wedding planning. Search for From Ring to Veil, a wedding planning community. And don't forget to go like our Facebook page, From Ring to Veil, a wedding planning podcast.
If you are looking for something to help you get started with your wedding planning, check out our timelines and checklists. You can find it at fromringtoveil.com/checklists or click that link there in the show notes. We put together 25 plus pages of exactly what that says. Timelines, checklists, information for you to hopefully help you get started on the right track for your wedding planning.
Today we have Sam. She's a bride and a listener, and she reached out to us and told us that she had a story to tell about her destination wedding, and we said, let's have her on the show.
If you are thinking about having a destination wedding, you should keep listening because she has some insight with this. She really has some good nuggets, I think.
Yeah. You really find out how hard it is to plan a destination wedding far away from your hometown or wherever you're going to have your wedding, especially on a place that you've never been before.
Here we go. Welcome, Sam. We're so excited that you're here. We haven't had a bride on that's actually done a destination wedding herself.
I don't think we've had a bride on at all.
Maybe
not.
I'm
lucky to be the first.
I don't think we have. We haven't had a bride as a guest host before. I mean, of course, a lot of our guest hosts are married, but they're vendors. So
right. But nobody that's actually listened to us, right?
Right.
So this is unique.
Let me ask you, by the way, how did you find us?
When we were thinking about, getting married and starting the planning process, I'm the oldest. I haven't been to a lot of weddings. Like I have some friends that have gotten married and I was like, man, I don't know what to do and like where to start. And so I just honestly started searching, wedding and like destination wedding elopement podcast. And I found you guys. You were like the first one on Spotify. And I just started clicking through all the ones that I liked. And I was like, I was just listening like a serial listener at work, like trying to do all my work and just listening to wedding stuff all day long. Kind of drove my fiance crazy.
Hey, the more you know, right?
Right.
So if you will, give us a little bit of your background. And you did end up reaching out to us and wanting to share your experiences with our listeners. So yes. Tell us why and what you did.
I guess my story is unique in some ways, but I'm sure that a lot of brides can relate or will relate because everyone's story is so different. A little bit of background on me. I met my fiance. We both play rugby at our local university. And so we met through the sport and have been dating about 2 years when we decided to get married. What's unique about our case is we live in Utah and it's cold here. We wanted to get married and we were trying to figure out what time of year to get married. And it's just like, I swear it's winter here 6 months out of the year. And so we were like, when are we going to get married? It's going to be warm. So we were looking for May. As we started to plan, I was like, I don't want to get married in Utah. I want to get married on a beach. And I'm sure a lot of brides feel that way. They're like, I want to go somewhere that's romantic and tropical and beautiful. And that was definitely me. I'm an island girl at heart and I wanted to have my wedding on an island. This caused like a lot of issues, at least initially, because if you don't live on an island, how do you have a wedding there? And how do you get your people there and plan everything there? Initially, we were thinking about Hawaii. And that seemed like a logical choice for us because we had been there. We loved it. It's beautiful. And obviously it's a state, so it's like a little bit easier. Currency is the same. Everyone speaks English, is quite, all the vendors and stuff have quite the following on social media. But as we were getting into it, it just seemed expensive, and we didn't want anything big. And we were going to have to fly out there and fly all our family and friends out there. And it was just racking up the price. And it seemed more work to do it there than here at home. And it just wasn't working out how we planned. And I still wanted to get married on the beach. And luckily during this time while we were thinking about getting married is we had bought plane tickets to go visit my fiance's parents. And his parents had recently moved to the U.S. Virgin Islands.
Wow.
So it's just crazy. He kind of came up to me one day, mid-planning, we didn't really know what we were going to do. And he said, "You already bought tickets to an island, like go get married on the Virgin Islands."
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, well, I was actually like upset at this point because we were leaving in a month for the Virgin Islands. And I was like, we were planning to get married in 6 months from now. Like, you want me to plan a wedding in 4 weeks when I thought I had 6 months or whatever?
You could do it, right?
I know it was. Well, I did it, but it was insane to me. Like being a bride and thinking, you're only giving me 4 weeks in the middle of like the school semester to plan my wedding on an island I've never been to, let alone don't know anything about. And so I think that's where my story gets unique, is not only did I have, I guess, a month to plan my wedding, but it was somewhere I had never been, hadn't really heard a lot about, and had to do all the typical bride planning from home in that time frame. And it all worked out. Obviously, the wedding was beautiful and perfect, but I thought, after I got married, I was like, man, this was harder and crazier than I ever thought it would be. And I'm sure that there are girls out there who want to get married on the Virgin Islands or in Hawaii or wherever, and they don't know where to start. And I was like, man, I wish someone had helped me, or I had been able to find some kind of tool out there where someone told me, here's some tips and tricks to get you started. And so that's why I reached out to you guys, because I thought there's got to be at least one girl out there who needs help like I did.
That's right. And that's the kind of thing that gets podcasts or businesses started, is somebody's got to be going through the same thing as I am and wanting to help them do that. So we are so happy that you reached out to us, because yes, I'm certain there's more than just one out there.
You had to plan all of this in a month. How did you find vendors in the venue and your dress in that month?
We had, like I said, we had been planning the wedding for a while, as in talking seriously about it, but not really putting anything on paper, not putting money down on anything yet. And being an antsy, excited bride, I knew I had a friend who owned this bridal shop, and she was like, when you get married, you can come in and I'll give you a discount. I'll help you pick out your dress. So when we started getting serious about the wedding thing, I went in and picked out my dress, which I wouldn't recommend, because, not that I had any doubts about getting married, but if you have any and you have a dress that you put a lot of money down on, and you're not sure if it's going to work out, or you're going to get married at the same time of year, which was kind of a gamble, because we were like, I bought my dress in August and we had been planning for May wedding. So I was like, it will be here in time for alterations and all that fun stuff. But then when we decided to do it in a month, my dress was still on order in New York. And
wow.
I was like, it was the dress of my dreams, and I didn't want to go pick something else out. But we were kind of thinking that. We were like, okay, we only have a month. You're going to have to go to, Kohl's and pick out some kind of dress you like and wear a $20 dress. And I was like, no, I want my dress. I want to wear my dress. So I actually got really lucky, and I called the lady who owned the bridal shop, and I said, listen, new plan. I know I said you had 6 months or whatever, but now you have 4 weeks. I need my dress. Is there any way we can get it faster? And I was so blessed. She called and there was this whole back and forth between the manufacturers and all the bridal shops that have this dress, because mine was on order and they obviously didn't have it yet. And they had to call around to all the dress shops that they service in the United States and try to find my size in that dress. Luckily, someone out in the Midwest had it and sent it over so that I could get it, because otherwise it would have arrived on my wedding date, which that wasn't going to work out.
No.
Yeah, exactly. So I got super lucky with that. So with a destination wedding, I would say for any bride to plan ahead. If you know you want to get married somewhere other than where you live, or you're going to have to fly to your destination for your wedding, buy the dress as early as you can so you have that leeway for any problems, shipment issues, extra alterations, because buying a dress is a big deal. Yeah, you should take your time making the decision, but at the same time, you need to leave a lot of room for error. Otherwise, you're going to either be really disappointed or have to be super flexible.
Okay.
That's great. I mean, I totally agree with you.
And as far as like vendors go, it's planning a destination wedding is difficult, to say the least, with vendors. Unlike places like Hawaii or maybe Puerto Rico that are a little bit more frequented for destination weddings, the Virgin Islands is a tiny, tiny island that had just been struck by a hurricane a year ago and has a lot of poverty and a lot of miscommunication. So trying to figure out how I was going to have my wedding there was difficult. I got lucky having my fiance's parents living there so they could kind of be my, I guess, my ears and my eyes there. And I would recommend that to another bride. If you're going to get married somewhere, there's wedding planners you can find that are, made for destination weddings. And you'll probably have to spend an extra pretty penny, but that person gets to be your ears and eyes on the island or wherever you're going to go to make sure the florist is what you want, to make sure the venue is what you want.
So did you have an actual wedding planner or was your
I didn't.
mother-in-law helping you out?
Yeah, my mother-in-law and I guess my father-in-law did. They were living there, and so they were kind of my go-to, but they have lives too. So that's the difficult part, is asking them to go look at a location, check out florists and different things like that. They didn't have as much time as maybe a bridal planner would.
Yeah.
So the planning was left mostly to me and my research as far as social media goes, which I honestly don't know how you'd plan a destination wedding without Instagram nowadays.
Instagram and Pinterest. Yeah.
Yeah.
For
yeah,
sure.
for sure. I got lucky because I went with a lot of local vendors. Of course, as a bride, depending on your budget, you can ship things in, you can take things with you. You can outsource or hire locally, but I was limited on my options being so remote on the island. So things like the flowers. I'm not a bouquet girl. Most brides are, I would say majority. I didn't want a bouquet, but I wanted flowers at my wedding, and I wanted a floral crown, and I wanted a lei for my husband. And I knew exactly what I wanted, but there's only like 5 florists on the island.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and then you're limited to whatever their website looks like and trying to determine whether or not they're going to be competent. And so as far as that goes, reaching out to like talk to someone, whether on the phone or over Skype or through email, really helped a lot with picking vendors, because sometimes businesses don't know their way around social media or don't have a very competent website. And as a bride, that can be super frustrating when you're limited on your options. I just tried to reach out to as many potential vendors as I could, and then get candid, real responses back from them and kind of feel out who I was working with from there.
What did you find the hardest to find? I know you mentioned flowers, but what was the hardest thing to find in your destination wedding distance planning?
Yeah. I'm a little unique. Mine was a little bit more, I would say, rather than like a destination wedding, it was more like an elopement. I didn't have very many people there. I didn't do a reception. I just kind of did more of a ceremony and then like an intimate dinner with the family that did come, which kind of made it easier planning wise because I didn't have to find a venue to fit 100 people or feed those 100 people. But the most difficult part, I would still say, was finding the venue for the actual wedding. We wanted to get married on a beach, and the Virgin Islands is known for their beaches. There's beautiful, picturesque beaches all over, but I had never been to any of them. And the only photos online were these postcard pictures of like the middle of the beach. And I was like, what does the rest of the beach look like? Is there going to be a lot of people there? Like, where do I want to stand when I'm saying my vows? And that was really difficult because, like I said, my fiance's parents could only do so much and tell me so much over the phone to describe these places. And everyone wanted me to pick a place. They're like, oh, just pick a place so we can start planning. And I was like, I can't pick a place. I've never seen any of these places. So I was talking to a potential destination bride the other day, and I was talking about the picking of the location. I said, honestly, the biggest help we did was arriving several days earlier than our wedding date and taking those days to go look at the venues. Now, well, obviously, if you're doing an indoor wedding, you don't always have the option because you have to put down payments and book the place and stuff. But that's where the wedding planner or a friend or a family member would come in handy, being able to go there and look and Skype you or FaceTime you. So I got lucky. We showed up a couple days early and actually drove to all the beaches I was thinking about. And I was able to like imagine my wedding here or imagine my wedding here. And I was able to pick my beach doing that.
Nice.
Hey, from Ring to Veil listeners, have you heard about Zola?
Zola is a place where you can conveniently manage everything online and in one place. It saves so much time for your couples. You can manage your website, your registry, and all the information that your guests need for your wedding, weekend, extravaganza, whatever it is you decide to do.
You can start with a free wedding website. It takes minutes to set up. They have over 100 beautiful designs to choose from that fit any couple's style and every type of wedding. Navigating through Zola is very easy. Take it from us. We've planned a website. We've done a registry. It's very easy to do.
I can tell you something that your guests are going to love. They're going to love the free shipping and returns, the price matching, and over 500 top brands.
You can also create funds for your honeymoon, your future home, a new puppy, anything you want. Puppies are expensive.
Yes, they are. So, to start your free wedding website and also get a $50 off your registry on Zola, go to zola.com/FRTV.
That's Zola, ZOLA.com/FRTV.
When you went into planning this, when you decided that you wanted a destination wedding, what did you expect versus what really happened? Was there something that you had in your mind that was just like, oh, this is going to be great, and it turned out not to be so great?
Yeah, for sure. I think every bride, regardless of how, I guess, upscale they are or how much they want to do, wants a dream wedding and pictures it being perfect with all the little details. And when I decided to have a destination wedding, I realized that a lot of those details were going to be either too difficult to the point where I didn't want to deal with them, or they were just going to be unattainable. And that was hard, I think, realizing as a bride, not unless you're in every detail or you have a wedding planner that can be there and see everything, your wedding may not look exactly how you pictured. You may not have all the little details you wanted. As far as it went for me, I always thought I would have a big to-do with lots of people and that, there would be a DJ and food and all of that grandiose. But planning a destination wedding simplified a lot of those ideas. And I was a little disappointed, like choosing not to have a reception because we were on a short time crunch and a lot of people couldn't fly out, took away certain things that I didn't expect that were disappointing. Like I didn't have a wedding cake, and I could have, but I had 6 people there with me, so I decided not to.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have my first dance. I didn't do a first dance because we did the ceremony and then we did pictures and then we went straight to our honeymoon. And we had done a dinner the night before. So things like that, I don't think most brides give those up on their destination weddings, but I think realizing where you're going to is a big part of it. Post planning, there was a Facebook page for basically everyone who lives on St. Thomas because there's not that many people. And I jumped on there and was like, hey, if there's any brides, I'd love to help. And there was one bride who was trying to plan a destination wedding and she couldn't find a DJ. And she was so frustrated because all the DJs on the island weren't responding to her communications and she couldn't book anyone for an appointment. And brides have to realize that if you're planning a wedding in another culture or another place that you maybe have visited on vacation or you've heard of, doesn't mean everything flows or works the same way it does at home.
Mm-hmm.
And things aren't as big of a priority to you or to them as they are to you. So finding a DJ on a tiny island where a lot of people work at grocery stores or work on sailboats is really hard. Mm-hmm. But, in Hawaii and bigger islands or bigger places that people have destination weddings, it's a little easier. They have services. And that's one thing I gave up picking the location I did is a lot of brides I've talked to will go have their wedding at a beautiful hotel.
Right.
And the hotel will provide those services, the DJ or the arch or the chairs. Mm-hmm. And that takes a lot of the stress out of destination wedding planning. But if you pick a remote location or you pick somewhere that doesn't have as many tourist options, you're really limited on your ability to obtain those things that you had dreamed of in your original little girl picturesque mm-hmm. wedding.
So you said you didn't have any of the things that you wanted, like your perfect picture of your wedding. Did you come back and have a reception in the States?
We only had my parents, and I had 2 siblings there, and his parents lived there. So those were the only people there. And we had a dinner the night before. And so there was no reception. And we came back 2 weeks later. We had a long vacation, long honeymoon. And I didn't want to have a big reception right away. I didn't want to spend a ton of money after having already spent a lot of money to celebrate with people who weren't necessarily there at my wedding. Now, Right. It might be different for other brides because I know that some people feel really obligated to celebrate with everyone. And I felt kind of awkward trying to plan a reception because I was like, I've already been married for 3 weeks. No one wants to celebrate now. That's weird. So we are in the process of planning an open house, and it will be more casual to the side of I will wear my dress so all the people and family members that didn't get to come will see the dress.
That's awesome.
I'm gonna and I'll have a local florist remake my floral crown and remake his lei so that everyone can see kind of what it looks like. Mm-hmm. We'll have food and show our wedding pictures, and so to that extent, it'll be a reception and people will be able to celebrate with us. But I doubt I'll do a dance with my now long-term husband, at the open house. The pictures probably will be on a slideshow because after you get married, if you don't have your reception on the destination that you're at, it's hard to get in that mindset again because you're moving on to the next part of your life. You're we're married and we're going to do the married thing. And then to go back into bridal planning and doing your hair and makeup or whatever for this reception really threw me off anyways.
Yeah. Have you thought of maybe doing it for your first anniversary and just having a huge party or something like that?
Honestly, I've thought about it, but even more so, I think we'll be so moved on and other people too.
Well, Yeah, at least have your cake at your open house.
Yeah,
At least some
exactly.
sort of semblance
So
of
I
cake.
think we'll have some kind of cake there because since I never had my wedding cake, we'll have
Yeah.
some kind of cake.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm
like to have
excited to get
cake.
to wear your wedding dress again.
Oh yeah. I have been trying to figure out how to become a bridal model because I just want to wear my wedding dress again. And I don't know if all brides feel that way, but mine was so comfortable and just perfect for the wedding that I'm like, hey, if you need me to wear it again, I will.
You look to contact your local photographers. They always try to
Exactly.
do wedding photo shoots, and
Yes.
just say, "Hey, I've got a dress. I'm available."
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. I know I need to do that. That would be so fun. And my dress, I got lucky, is a kind of dress that I would wear again. And I think what I'll end up doing is altering it for kind of a party dress and wear that on my 1 year anniversary and do some kind of big celebration. So that would be fun.
That sounds great.
Let me ask you, is this going to turn into a career for you?
Honestly, I've thought a lot about that. I'm actually studying marketing in school right now and
Perfect.
digital marketing, and am fascinated by the lack of tools there are for brides out there when I was trying to plan my wedding.
Really?
And I dabble in a little bit of like wedding invitation creation. I made all my own invitations for the open house, for my bridal announcement. So it might turn into a career. I think as far as the career would go would be helping vendors to create a better way for brides to find them. It's so difficult to just find even photographers by Googling U.S. Virgin Islands photographer and find one you like for the right price who's available. Like there's got to be a better way to do it, and I haven't figured it out yet, but I'm sure I will.
We have the knot and wedding wire and things like that for the U.S. You're saying there's not really that for anything else or everywhere else?
When I was thinking about Hawaii, there was a lot on the wedding wire and the knot, and I had those. And then when I changed to the Virgin Islands, the knot didn't even list that as a location to search.
Right.
And I was like, okay, so that's out. I can't use that tool. And so I had to use wedding wire, which luckily had that option and showed people. And that's how I semi chose my vendors. I read lots of reviews. I'm a review reader. I'm a review giver. And I recommend that for any bride. Even if you find a photographer you like on Instagram and you like their website too, I would go on Wedding Wire and the Knot and make sure that other brides liked them for the actual experience.
Right.
Because their product might be great, but what really made my destination wedding a lot less stressful were the people I ended up working with. And I happen to choose all like born and raised locals who did weddings and were maybe a little less known, and gave them an opportunity to kind of give me the experience that I was looking for that I maybe couldn't make for myself because I was planning from far away.
Right.
But those tools were Wedding Wire was so helpful for me when I was planning. I mean, I found my efficient on Wedding Wire and then found his website, and he was one of those people, amazing reviews, not so great website. And I had to reach out and be like, are you real? It's going to be good because you could make it or break it, you know? Same thing with the photographer. Found her on Instagram. I honestly didn't love her photos. They weren't the trendy, super trendy photos that I was looking for. But after contacting her, she was the honest, genuine person that I was hoping for, that would like be okay with mistakes or accidents or whatever occurred and would work with me. And she was glad to hop on a phone call and was glad to email back and forth and was glad to Skype so that I could like see her in real life and make a connection with her before the wedding, because it's hard to meet all those people the day of.
Right.
Gotcha. Well, Sam, thank you so much for all this great information, all these golden nuggets. If one of our listeners wants to contact you and ask you some questions, do you have like a separate email that's not your personal that you can share?
I have one that I use for most of my business, and it's just Sam, and then it's my last name, Cindrich, which is CINDRICH @gmail.com. And they can reach out through there. and ask any questions. You can also find me on Facebook. I would love to help with any planning issues, picking vendors, any questions they have. I know my story may not fit most, but I hope that I can help those who need the help that I didn't get.
Absolutely. That's awesome. I think that's what you're doing is great. I think we need more brides to come back and say, this was what I did, and this is how it worked out for me, and share it with everybody. I think we should add you to our wedding planning community on Facebook. Therefore, if any of our listeners there have any questions, they could just ask you right there.
Yeah, that'll be great. I'll be there and ready to answer any questions they have.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, ladies.
If you guys have any questions for Sam, please reach out to her. She's been there. She's done it. She's pretty excited about helping others who want to do this. So do reach out to her. You can find her information in our show notes. Click the email and just send her a little question or two. Or you can go to our Facebook group where she is and ask her a question there. She is joined and ready to answer questions.
If you need some FRTV swag or some tribe swag for your bachelorette or hen do, go to fromringtoveil.com/TEE, and there's all sorts of things in there to pick from. T-shirts, cups, coffee cups, notebooks.
Cute stuff too, right?
Yeah.
Again, join our Facebook group. I mean, we've given you another reason. We've got people who have been married and who have gone through some certain circumstances, like planning a destination wedding from the States. Join our group. There's lots of information, lots of people willing to help. Sharing questions, sharing pictures. Which one should I get? What color should I get? That kind of stuff. It's really been fun lately. So join us on Facebook, From Ring to Veil Wedding Planning Community.
Subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Alexa, CastBox, and Google Podcasts.
And until next time, no stress, no worries. Keep calm and listen on. Music provided by bensound.com.